What if your daily commute suddenly doubled in time, and you had to sleep in a campground to cope? That's the reality for thousands in the Blue Mountains, where a 194-year-old bridge's closure has turned ordinary lives into a logistical nightmare. Imagine driving 2 hours every night just to get home, only to repeat the cycle the next morning. This isn't just a traffic jam. It's a systemic failure that's exposing the cracks in how we prioritize infrastructure. Personally, I think this story is a microcosm of a much bigger problem. When we neglect the basics, everyone pays the price. Let me break it down. Healthcare workers like Fran, who drives 2 hours after a shift, are essentially being penalized for choosing to live in rural areas. She's not just tired, she's exhausted, both physically and emotionally. What makes this really interesting is how it highlights the invisible labor of rural workers. They're the backbone of communities, yet their struggles are overshadowed by headlines about urban congestion. If you take a step back and think about it, this isn't just about roads. It's about valuing human dignity in policy decisions. Why is a nurse's commute considered a personal problem when it's clearly a structural one? Then there's the economic fallout. Shops like Geekdom and Lura are closing because the lifeblood of trade, vehicles moving between Sydney and regional centers, has been severed. The $10,000 grant offered to businesses feels like a slap in the face. A detail I find fascinating is how the government's response ignores the scale of the crisis. If a 20% drop in business is the final blow, what does that say about the support systems in place? This isn't just about profits. It's about survival for small businesses that can't afford to wait for bureaucratic fixes. But the real kicker? The detour routes are literally death traps. Potholes, black ice, and single-lane roads create a scenario where a bushfire or accident could turn a vulnerable community into a disaster zone. What many people don't realize is that this isn't just a temporary inconvenience. It's a long-term vulnerability. When you have only one exit route, you're not just stuck, you're at risk. It's like building a house with a single window and calling it safe. And the kids? Parents like Edwina McCarran are driving their children 50 minutes each way just to access school. The emotional toll on families is staggering. This raises a deeper question. How do we measure the cost of infrastructure failures? Is it in dollars, or in the exhaustion of parents and the trauma of children who can't rely on basic systems? When a school bus route becomes a logistical quagmire, it's not just about transportation. It's about the right to a normal childhood. What this really suggests is that we've been living on borrowed time with our infrastructure. The Victoria Pass isn't just a bridge. It's a symbol of neglect. And until we start treating rural communities as equal partners in national planning, stories like these will keep repeating. So, I'll leave you with this. What does it say about our priorities when the most vulnerable are the ones paying the highest price for outdated systems? The answer might just define the future of how we build, fund, and care for the places we call home.